Now, I just spent 10 days in Israel and Palestine and visited all the sacred sites. It was absolutely awesome. Every day, Ed said, whenever you start talking about it, you start crying. I said, because it's so unbelievable that we were there. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I am so impressed that you are honoring everyone today on Veterans Day. And I thought one of the memorable things that happened is we took a boat ride on the Sea of Galilee. And as the boat started leaving, there were no winds on the Sea of Galilee, by the way. We all brought jackets thinking, we're South Dakotans. We're going to be out on the water. It was as still as could be, absolutely beautiful. And all of a sudden, the music started up and they played the American national anthem and raised the American flag on the ship. I'm telling you, there wasn't a dry eye on the ship. We all stood up, sang the national anthem, and went across the Sea of Galilee. Nice. It was absolutely beautiful. So again, to honor our veterans, we're so proud to be part of this country and proud of being Americans. But today, we're welcoming Dr. Holm to the Prairie Doc Radio program. Dr. Holm is here. He's our Prairie Doc. He's in the studio ready to answer your questions of a medical nature. Dr. Holm's specialty is internal medicine. He's a primary care physician with the Avera Medical Group Brookings, as well as being a clinical professor at the University of South Dakota's Sanford School of Medicine. Good morning, Rick.
Good morning, Joan.
And your most beautiful partner, Joni, is here with you today. Yes. And Joni is also an authority in medicine. Joni is a nurse practitioner with the Avera Medical Group Brookings. Welcome, Joni.
Good morning.
I know you don't need an introduction, neither one of you do, but every once in a while someone could tune in and not have any idea what this show is all about.
It's okay. There.
I need to, along with honoring our veterans, just send us a birthday wish to my brother, whose birthday is today. He isn't listening, but I will get to see him soon when we're attending a family wedding. So, happy birthday to Brother Bill.
We're going down to the deep
South. Mississippi.
Yeah, Mississippi.
That is the deep South.
Mississippi. So, Bob's pointing.
No, you're supposed to spell it with one I.
One eye.
Is that right?
M-I-C.
Yeah.
You guys can enjoy the wind, and we'll have a little southern warmth, I hope.
Yeah, it's going to cool down again. It's just doing that. The winter is shoveling in, as we say.
We may have, Bob said we may have a little bit of snow tonight, but more importantly is this wind that's coming. My goodness.
Yeah,
Get out of here fast.
30 to 40 mile an hour winds.
It's really something.
50 mile an hour winds. Wow.
So we want to talk about winter health today. I think we should at least introduce that since we're talking about it now. And if you'd like to call in questions at 692-1430, we will be talking about winter health.
Tomorrow night is the show On Call with Prairie Doc, and Jill Cruz is our guest host while Joni and I are at a wedding, and we have Dr. Tom Luzier, who will be there. He's a pediatrician and an allergist, and we have Dr. Jennifer Williamson from Brookings, an internist, who is originally from the Caribbean, and who will be our other guest, and we'll be having her respond to what winter is in South Dakota. Of course, she's not been in South Dakota winter, but she's been in other northern states, New York winters. So it'll be
She's seen some winter. Right.
Yeah, let her, she knows the health issues of winter. But that's what we're talking about this morning, to try to trigger your thinking about the winter and what we can do to be prepared.
Well, we're going to take a break now. As Joni just mentioned, our number is 692-1430. If you have any questions about winter health or winter issues or any medical questions at all, you have the two experts here ready to answer your questions, and we'll be back right after these words. To Prairie Doc Radio, we're happy to have you listening today. In the studio today with me are both Dr. Rick Holm and his wife Joni Holm, both medical practitioners with the Brookings Avera Medical Center.
So Bob just mentioned our last week's show with Tom Huber, who is quite a character, you know, and Bob was commenting, what a character, and I said to myself, it's the pot calling the kettle black here.
With Bob, it is, yes. He enjoys characters mainly because he is quite the character. Isn't he? Yeah.
I was enjoying his discussion this morning with the three young high school students who are heading to Washington, you know, and of course Bob's trying to bring these girls who aren't used to the radio out, you know.
He wanted more than a yes or no, didn't he? But it's hard to get from young people.
They didn't want to be here because it was early. They had the day off from school today.
So they had to drag out of bed at
That's
8
right.
in the morning or whatever.
They don't
it
even have
was.
school today. I didn't think of that. I heard the interview too, and I thought, oh, come on, girls, say something more than yes or no.
That was good, really fun. So.
Well, since we're talking about Tom Huber and last week's show and winter health, I think we have to immediately talk about flu shots because that bridges the two together. We still are offering flu shots and still encourage flu shots for everyone if you have not gotten it yet. It is a very important way of preventing influenza, which is one of the issues that we have in the winter. And if you saw the show and we had the flu bug, it was quite cute. And of course, flu bug wants to share all the germs, and we're saying no, let's not share them. Get your flu shot, wash your hands well. You can go outside, you can be in the cold weather. That doesn't cause the flu. It's the contacts with people. So we want you to cover your coughs.
And you know,
Wash
realize when you're getting a flu shot, you are getting a gift to people whose immune systems are so poor that their flu shot won't work for them. People who get chemotherapy, the people who have, you know, severe diabetes and chronic lung disease and asthma, and so you're helping other people. You're doing it not for you. It's not for you. It's for someone else. So, you know, come on. Do it
Get
for
the flu
someone
shot.
else.
We have very good support in Brookings itself for flu shots, don't we? Don't we get a high percentage of the people in town?
You know, the country, South Dakota has more people getting the flu shot than any other state in the nation.
Well, we should
We
be
are
proud of
first
that.
in something, anyway.
Oh, we're first in more than just that.
That babies under 6 months are not immunized either. And although they do have some immunity from mom, they still are at risk. So when you're thinking about those folks that you're protecting, it's those infants younger than 6 months as well.
Well, and that's huge because they can die from
From the
this.
flu, yeah.
So, I mean, think about it. To get the flu shot, it's not about you.
Well, we're staying healthy this winter. We're getting the flu shot. After that, what about when it, you know, like today, it's going to be 50 miles per hour wind. We're not going outside taking a walk. What are we going to do to stay healthy?
Yeah, well, I had a patient yesterday say to me, you know, what I do in the winter is I go to the Catholic Church, and they have a gymnasium over there, and I do circles around the gymnasium, and he says it's amazing how many other people are in there doing their daily walking at the Catholic Church. And I wasn't aware of it. Is that available for Protestants too, Joan?
You know, they would let you in.
They
I'm
would
sure
they let
that-
me
Yeah,
in?
no, it is available for everyone. I'm sorry, I don't know the hours it's open. I'm not sure. But, you know, just
Well,
to
look
call
into
the
that,
office.
and then next
yeah,
week.
I can mention that next week. But
Right.
it's definitely available for anyone who wants to come and walk. And I think, possibly, do you think First Lutheran has the same? They have such a big facility
I
there.
think they probably do.
I think
you
they
know.
might as well. Maybe I should do my research and see which churches you can walk
Yeah.
in the winter.
I can speak to the United Methodist Church and the Community Life Center. There is an exercise program on Tuesday and Thursday morning that is open to the public at 9:30, although you might want to call the church and double check that, but I'm pretty sure it's 9:30. And it's designed for anyone, but with our senior citizens in mind, so that the exercises are help with balance and are tailored to not be too difficult, that everyone can't do them. So that is certainly, you are welcome to come, anyone is welcome to come
Even
to
the
that.
Catholic people are welcome.
They're
to
welcome
come
there
to
too.
Methodist
Yeah,
Church.
that's amazing.
So wouldn't it be great? Walk at the Catholic Church on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and on Tuesday, Thursday go to the Methodist Church.
for
And
your
do
exercise.
your exercise
So there is a
program.
way to stay active in the dead of winter. You know,
There
if
it
you can
is.
get to either one of those spots, or
You know, you
I will
can-
look it up and see what other churches in town
You
offer
can
that.
walk around the periphery of the Walmart or Lowe's, and if you go 4 times around, I think that's a mile. Or maybe it's 8, but go 30 minutes. I read an editorial last night in the Journal of the American Medical Association. It's the heart issue. They did a special heart issue this week. They do a weekly journal, and they were talking about exercise. And it's absolutely amazing that there's almost no limit to the value as you go up on the exercise, although it kind of tapers off. It's sort of like one of these, you reach a plateau. Once you've gone an hour of exercise every day, it plateaus. But if you can get to a half an hour of exercise, it's remarkable about the reduction in death rate, cancer, heart attack, stroke, diabetes. I mean, it just goes on and on. So if I were to say anything to you about the take-home message on winter health, it is, okay, I've been active through the summer because it's outside working in the garden, or I'm outside doing this or that. Now it's winter. Okay, I'm going to just sit in that couch and watch TV all winter long, and then I'll pick it up again in the fall, in the spring. Forget about it. You've got to maintain. And so winter health, here's your take home. Get out every day, half an hour a day of exercise, whether it's in a gym or whether it's at the wellness center at STSU, or whether it's at the Catholic Church or the Methodist Church or whatever church, Lutheran Church.
Brookings Activity Center.
Brookings Activity
Monday, Wednesday,
Center.
Friday, they have free exercise classes.
Well, there's a lot of good things available. I think we should take our second break.
Okay.
If you have any questions about winter health, why don't you give us a call, 692-1430. We'll be back right after these words.
I was on an
Hi, welcome back to Prairie Doc Radio. Dr. Holm and his wife Joni are here, ready to answer any questions you might have of medical nature.
And tell me about that book again,
Well,
Joe.
I've been reading a book, and I can't think of the name of it, The Mortal Something, The Mortal Life. In other words, we're not immortal, we're mortal.
Yeah.
By Atul Gawande. It's an Indian name, but his parents were born in India. He was born in America.
Right.
He writes about the importance of recognizing end-of-life care, or even how to care for the elderly, that we're ignoring it. And he said everything about health and medical health is ignoring the importance of the gerontologist and the internal medicine physician. They're not getting paid for the value that they bring to medicine. So I
There you
thought
go.
you would love to read this.
Wow.
But he also
Duh.
talked about if you want to live a long life, if you want to be healthy, these are the things you have to do. And
Yeah.
of course, he strongly emphasized exercise. And he sat in on a gerontologist interview with an older woman. I think she was 85, 89. And she came in complaining of some pains in her stomach. And he said, I was just so turned off by this doctor. He didn't address the stomach. He was asking her what she ate that day, how he had her take her shoes and socks off, look at her feet. He was doing things that this doctor is a surgeon. So he's thinking, we're looking at surgical answers. This doctor said she needs to be healthy. Asked what she had for breakfast and what she's eating all day. He realized she's not getting enough nutrition. That's important. If you want to be healthy, you need nutrition. he realized she could barely reach down to take her shoes and socks off, and he examined her feet. She wasn't really taking care of them. So he assigned her a podiatrist to go to. He assigned her a nutritionist for her food. She came back 3 months later. She had gained a couple of pounds. She felt good. She was moving better, and that was much more important than maybe any surgery we could do. We wanted to make her healthier.
Yeah, no
And I
question.
thought, that is winter health, but I'm thinking just health in general. As people get older, they have to recognize what's important to maintain their health, and it's something you're fully aware of with your patient load. I know this, Dr. Hall.
I am 3/4 of the way done with a book called The Book of Aging.
The Book of Aging, okay.
And I haven't really figured out exactly what the name of it is, but it sounds like Atul probably already wrote it. Darn it! But I'm still going to do it. And it's been a project to put together essays that particularly help people care for an elderly parent, or how to keep themselves as they're aging healthy. And of course, there's one chapter that's all the exercise articles that I've written that just too many actually. So I've got a lot about end of life care, and a lot about advanced directives, and a lot about pain relief, and a lot about empowering the elderly. And,
This may be getting away from our topic of winter health, but I think health at any age is important, and it is really kind of mind-altering to read some of this stuff.
As long as we're talking about that, I had a patient yesterday in to see me who is late 80s, just a beautiful woman who has some medical problems, but for the most part, one of her biggest problems was her balance. And I'm going to speak to this particularly because we're worrying about exercising outside in the winter, because we get icy here, and there are terrible things that happen with falling. So this older, beautiful lady is now carrying a cane. Now, the one thing that I realized as I got into gerontology and the geriatric literature is the cane is not something you lean on. It's really just an extra balanced touch. We've got two legs, and we're walking around with two spots, and you let go of one while the other one is intact, so that you've always got one extremity touching the world around you. But when you're standing, you've got two, and you balance yourself on those two. And balancing yourself on two is really amazing. And as we lose our balance function as we get older, a third arm, a third leg, a third something to tell you where you are in space is important. If you watch people walking around their apartment and they're elderly and they're struggling with balance issues, you can see they'll put their hand on the counter, they'll put their hand on the wall, they'll put their hand on the couch as they're moving around, because then it tells them where they are in space. And if you have a cane, you can tap all sorts of places and you know where you are in space. It isn't really something that helps you because you can lean on it. It's something to give you proprioception. It's where are you? Where am I? And that is an important thing that we don't understand or haven't usually talked about. Joni?
Well, I think as long as we're talking about balance, I think we can never emphasize enough to do preventative things. As all of us are aging, start working on your own balance. Whether it's at cardiac rehab with the patients I work with, we do some exercises. We hold onto the back of the chair, we let go, and stand for 30 seconds on one leg. A lot of those people do not have balance problems, and this is a preventative measure. It's building strength. It's helping the body to understand that. And so when you're brushing your teeth, stand on one foot. There's so many times that we can do exercises. And it brings me back to you're mentioning the outside and getting slippery. Folks, there's nothing wrong with exercising in your own house. Stand up behind the couch, hold on to the back of the couch and do leg lifts. Do marching in place. If it's icy out, you can get the cans of soup and use them for weights. There are many, many things you can do at home.
I think you nailed it there. They've studied it, and the conclusion, the general principle that you're making, the best thing for balance is strengthening.
Exactly.
The very best thing for balance is strengthening. And of course, I like walking. I think walking is probably the very best exercise there is overall, because it works that balance system. It gives you the strength in your legs, and if you're swinging your arms, it's helping your arms. But I think the idea of bringing some cans of peas or beans or something in your hands as you were walking is probably a pretty good idea too. So
Just to strengthen.
strength, because upper body strength goes away when all you do is walking or running, and so it's important to keep your upper extremities strong too.
It can be done while you're in front of the television if you choose.
Actually, that's a great time to do it. Just watch a half an hour show while you're messing
exercising.
around with cans of creamed corn. Or
Sounds
how about
good.
asparagus? I think cans of asparagus.
Oh, that's disgusting. That would make you want to kind of throw the can away. No, not good. Well, we talked about, I got you off the topic of winter health, but this is all part of health. But as far as winter health, how about driving in the winter? Of course, people should know by now that if you're out in the winter driving, you've got to have a kit in the car.
This morning, I did the most important kit, which is my dad had an old fluffy, feather-filled, ugly, fur-collared
A
winter
hunting
coat.
coat.
It's just an ugly thing that you wouldn't ever wear. Except, I remember one time the Lake Ponset Sailing Academy was out doing something, I can't remember, but we were out away from any houses, and I just got chilled for some reason or another. But my car was there. So I just grabbed that ugly old coat, put it on, and
You were
warmed right
fine.
up.
So that
Yeah.
you didn't quite finish your thought there. The point is that you got that ugly coat and you put it in the back of the car. So
I put
starting
it in
now,
the back
as
of
we
the car today.
are
That was the
prepared for winter,
most important winter thing. Throw in a
Sleeping bag.
Sleeping bag. If you're caught in a winter storm somewhere, and your car runs out of gas, you're still okay if you're in this sleeping bag. So that, and maybe water. But if it's snowing, you can get water there. They talk about a candy bar for some nutrition. But chances are, none of us are going to die from lack of water or lack of food. It's the cold that's going to...
Cold will get us.
and stay with your car.
Boy, that's hard to get. You hear of people that just walk a quarter of a mile thinking
And
I'll be
they're-
fine, and they die out
They're
there.
frozen on a fence line,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yesterday I watched the video that will be presented tomorrow night where our neighbors, the Flynns, talk about being trapped in their car. And when they were rescued, they were taken into a farmer's house and fed some Rice Krispies. She said that was a very good meal. But she commented to the farmer that we thought about walking to the lights that we saw. We know they were pretty close. And he said, I know those neighbors and they winter away. You would not have gotten anyone at their houses.
Isn't
And
that
so
something?
the point being, don't do it. It may be close enough to get to, but if it's not open, you've wasted that time and
And
you
that-
might not be safe. So stay with your car, and which is what the Flynns did when their family was stuck, and they were rescued the next day when it was light enough for people to see that they were in need.
Did they so they stayed all night in their car?
Stayed all night in their car with 4 children.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, man.
They-
And if
That's
you know
scary.
the Flynn children, I'm just joking.
No,
that was
All
It's
night
a,
with
it's a
4
good
kids in
interview.
the
I
car.
love the
encourage
Flynn
you. I
children.
encourage you to watch the show tomorrow night and see beautiful Nancy Flynn.
All right,
Yeah,
sounds
wow,
good.
great.
Well, we're going to take our final break. We're trying to help you with winter preparedness. If you have any questions, give us a call at 692-1430. We'll be back right after these words. Prairie Doc Radio. We hope you all survive the next couple of cold days. We're trying to give you good advice on what to do.
So I'll give you a story. A dear friend of mine, 2 blocks away from my house, got out of her house to walk to church, slipped on the porch, sat down on the steps in her house, and froze to death.
And possibly had
Oh.
a stroke prior.
Yeah. She was outside?
Yes.
Yeah.
it was-
Outside, and it
on the
was
steps.
20, 30 below.
Right.
She hit and she sat there for a while, and then it overwhelmed her. It was so cold. It just breaks my heart. But if she would have had, okay, everybody talks about the necklace around their neck, where you can push the button and it calls your neighbors and
Right.
or friends. But those are things that work when you're near enough to your apartment that you could get help. What will always work is a mobile phone. If your mother or father, who are elderly, are at risk of problem, make sure that they have a mobile phone. I have a patient who fell and laid there all day. She was in the hospital, several months ago. Because as you lay on that floor, your muscles necrose, and so you have dead muscle tissue that floats into your bloodstream as your body's cleaning it up, and it plugs your kidneys, and it put her kidneys at huge risk. So part of the things that you need to do is to take the precautions. So as this patient, I said to the patient, you've got to wear the necklace thing around your neck in your house. And he said, I promise I will never go without that necklace again. It was, of course it was back on the bedstead, hanging on the next to the bed.
Instead of around her neck.
Around her neck, and when you get up to go to the bathroom, you've got to have that thing around your neck. Or when you leave the house, you need to have a mobile phone in your pocket. And I'll give you one other story, because stories make the most important point. A dear friend of ours, 89 years of age, went to church, see him after church, stepped out, and it wasn't icy, tripped and fell and hit her head on the sidewalk and died the next day.
Oh, how sad.
Breaks my heart.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty good way to go, though, quickly, you know what I mean? It was no disability, but it just breaks my heart. And so you've got to be careful. I think a cane is a good idea at all times when you're in that age bracket.
Do I have time for a quick story?
Sure. Show it. Throw it in there. Got 2 minutes.
Back when our kids had the paper route, I was helping them one day, and I went by one of our neighbors, and she was sitting on her front steps crying, and her spouse had recently died. He had changed the locks. She got herself locked out. She couldn't get in. There was a depression element to it besides the fact that she was
Sure.
cold. And the end of the story is that there were workmen in the area. I walked over to the workmen, and they had her house broken into in about a minute. And she was upset and nervous to ask for help. And I happened to be at the right place at the right time. Folks, it's okay to ask for help. These men would have helped her if she would have just walked over. She felt defeated, and she sat down in the cold. And
Which was a mistake.
It was a mistake, but we got her in, and she was
That's
safe.
good.
But please speak up.
Don't sit
We
down
like
in the
happy
cold.
endings, right?
Yes.
Don't sit down in the cold, please. Well, we hope you've all enjoyed this discussion, our Prairie Doc Radio program for today, and we'll listen again for Prairie Doc, brought to you by the Avera Medical Group Brookings. Dr. Holmes on call with the Prairie Doc television program is tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Jill Cruz will be the guest host, and she'll be discussing winter health, which is wonderful. As always, you can hear more from Dr. Holm online at prairiedoc.org. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Joan. Thank you, Joni and Bob. And stay healthy out there, people.